Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into my Week 2 college football picks and predictions on every ranked matchup. We don't have any ranked games Thursday or Friday, so we begin Saturday in the noon window. We've got Arkansas State traveling to Columbus to take on Ohio State, and guys, I've got Ohio State dropping a 70 burger, beating Arkansas State 73-10. I see the overall line on this has kind of hovered around Ohio State minus 43-44. I love the value for Ohio State to cover. Originally, I thought it was going to be Ohio State minus 50, but I think Vegas dropped it due to Ohio State struggling on offense. Overall, Jackson Smith-Njigba probably not going to play in this game. He's out 1 to 2 weeks. It won't matter. Look for C.J. Stroud to get other weapons involved. Marvin Harrison Jr., Julian Fleming, guys like that. And this should be a blowout win. I know Arkansas State won in week 1 like 42-3 or something, maybe 52-3. But Ohio State's going to absolutely annihilate Arkansas State. They're going to get their offense in rhythm, 73-10. Next game, we've got the big week 2 matchup. It's going to be Alabama traveling to Texas, that weird big noon game. I have not looked at the weather yet, but I can only imagine it's going to be very hot. This is an 11 a.m. Central start time because Fox just has to put all of their big games on at noon. And guys, I've got Alabama winning this game easily. Texas just did not do enough for me last week to have any faith in them. Quinn Ewers made some plays, but also there's going to be some early season struggles. Alabama destroys Utah State. You know, Utah State's going to be horrible this year. But still, Alabama's going to win this game, and they're going to cover the spread overall. I believe the spread started at minus 18 or maybe minus 16. It's just completely jumped. I think at this point, it's actually minus 21 for Alabama, and I see them covering that. I could very easily see the final score of this game being 55-24. I've got it at 48-24, but it just comes down to Texas not being talented enough, Alabama on offense, and then that defensive pass rushing duo, Will Anderson and Dallas Turner. The one maybe question mark is Alabama's receivers. How will they look against Texas? That'll be interesting, but still Bryce Young, the Heisman QB. This is not going to be a close game, at least at this point in my opinion. And the next game we have is Southern Miss traveling to Miami. Miami taking a very interesting approach in their non-conference, facing 3 horrible teams and then one really good team. Of course, they've got, I believe, a week 3 matchup at Texas A&M in College Station. But this is a noon game at home. And I think Miami wins this game very easily, 49-17. They dropped a 70 burger on Bethune-Cookman in week 1. I don't think it's that high. They could very easily win this game 56-17, but there's very little analysis I can give you. They do have a 96% chance to win according to FBI. I also do like them, at least right now, to cover the 26-point spread against Southern Miss, who's really, really bad. The next game we have, it's going to be South Carolina traveling to Arkansas. Of course, Arkansas getting that big week 1. Kind of a similar game for Arkansas, in my opinion. South Carolina maybe a little rusty week 1. Spencer Rattler not looking great. A few turnovers. I think they keep it close, and the line has actually come down. It was, I believe, Arkansas minus 9. It's down to 7.5. I've got a very similar win for Arkansas as they had week 1. I believe they actually won 31-24 against Cincinnati. I've got it at 31-23 South Carolina. We'll see what they can do. I'm not expecting a ton. It's early in the season. There's a lot of speculation. Arkansas has the better QB, you would think, with KJ Jefferson. They came off a nice win. They get another win in a noon matchup. Next game, we've got Wake Forest traveling to Vanderbilt in a very interesting ACC-SEC game. Wake Forest, 8.5-point favorites without Sam Hartman. And I think Vegas kind of has overreacted to Vanderbilt early in the season. They gave up a ton of points to Elon. We understand they crushed Hawaii, but Hawaii might be the worst FBS team. Wake Forest is solid, even without Sam Hartman. Maybe a little overreaction. Yes, it wasn't great against VMI week 1, but it's very tough to get up for a Thursday night game against an FCS team. I think Wake Forest comes out and they're just so much more talented than Vanderbilt. They cover this spread easily and they win this game 38-21 in a noon window. Next, we've got another noon game. It's the FCS school, Charleston Southern, I believe that's who it is, taking on NC State. Of course, there is no line for this right now, but when the line does get released, I would bet on NC State. I think NC State, after that disturbing performance week 1, is really going to want to come out and score a lot. They win this game 56-7, running it up a little on the FCS team, or really not even running it up. It's just by circumstance, they're going to want to get their offense back on track after that disappointing, almost nearly upset loss against East Carolina. East Carolina had some major kicking problems in that. NC State, they got to win this one, by a lot, you would think, to try and show they are still a top 15 team. Next, we've got the 1:30 game. So this is a very weird game. I believe this is an 11:30 a.m. start time in Utah. It'll be Southern Utah taking on Utah. The FCS school is going to lose. I've got it at 49-0. Utah, we can talk about it. It's so unfortunate with what happened last week. You're driving, you're going to win the game. Worst case scenario, you're going to overtime. It doesn't happen. They're going to crush Southern Utah. I don't think they allow a point. To me, they're still a top 15 team, even though they lost to Florida. I've got this at 49-0. Next, we've got an interesting 2:30 matchup in South Bend. Apparently, there's rumors that there's major storms this weekend for this game for Notre Dame, so maybe a little bit lower scoring. It's Marshall, who's coming off a major week 1 blowout win, I think against Norfolk State. Of course, Notre Dame loses to Ohio State. Bad offensive performance, good defensive performance. I've got this game very close. I love Marshall to cover this spread. Notre Dame still early in the season, still very young quarterback. Marshall scores a lot. 28-24 the final score. Maybe a little rain impacting this game, but I don't think Notre Dame covers the 19.5-point spread, in my opinion. Now we're on to the 3:30 window. It's going to be Furman. The FCS team, they will be traveling to take on Clemson. And I do have it at 52-8. I think maybe there's a 2-point conversion scored here somewhere. But yeah, there's very little analysis I could give you on this game for Clemson. They're just going to want to be looking to get on track offensively with DJ Uiagalelei. But it's just obviously a complete blowout. Very interesting game here. We've got Appalachian State traveling to face Texas A&M. A&M struggled a little bit in week 1 against Sam Houston. By the way, is it Sam Houston or Sam Houston State? Originally, I thought it was Sam Houston State, but it might just be Sam Houston. I don't know. They do have A&M minus 17, and to me, this is a game where I think A&M is just going to have too much talent for Appalachian State. Appalachian State, terrible on defense. We saw what they did against North Carolina. They were able to score 40 points in the fourth quarter, but Chase Bryce, we've seen him at several schools. He's their transfer quarterback. He is not good. I know he had a really good game week 1. He is just not a good quarterback, and I think A&M overwhelms him and wins this game 37-14. Next, we have an interesting matchup here. Tennessee traveling to Heinz Field, taking on Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, huge week 1 win. Tennessee actually a touchdown favorite in this game, and I do have Pittsburgh winning it. I've got them 31-27. I just think it's a little bit too early for Tennessee, maybe a little bit too much hype. They crushed Ball State. It's whatever. They're going on the road. Even if Tennessee wins this game, I would be shocked if they covered a touchdown spread against Pittsburgh, who's a solid team. And you would expect a pretty good atmosphere, even though obviously it's not going to be the atmosphere it was on Thursday night against West Virginia. This is a 3:30 game, maybe ABC or ESPN, I'm not sure which network, but it should be a pretty good atmosphere. This is a Pittsburgh team that has a lot of momentum right now, and I like this to be a close game, and Pittsburgh gets the win. Next, we've got Washington State traveling to take on Wisconsin. Wisconsin shuts out Illinois State in week 1. I don't think they shut out Washington State, but I've got them winning this game easily. I could actually see this being like a 35-7 type game. Washington State is not a good team at all. Wisconsin is 18-point favorites. I've got them winning by 18 points. It's funny. But yeah, Wisconsin, this is their big non-conference matchup, and it's not going to be close. Again, Washington State is just not a good team, and they're on the road traveling to Madison. This might be an FS1 game or Fox. I don't know. I'm just throwing random networks out there. I'm not sure which network this is on, but Wisconsin giving a 93. Is that right? I actually don't think I updated that. If they're seriously given a 93% chance to win against Washington State, yeah, this is not going to be a close game. Next, we've got another 3:30 game. It's going to be Kennesaw State traveling to Cincinnati in their home opener, and I've got it at 52-6. Cincinnati gets on the board with a win. They're going to overwhelm the FCS team, unfortunately. 4 o'clock games, we've got Samford traveling to take on Georgia, and I think Samford gets on the board 3 times in the first quarter with 3 field goals, and they put Georgia on upset alert, and then Georgia ends up winning 54-9. Of course, we know Georgia. People seem to be overreacting to that big week 1 win against Oregon. Guys, that game was really weird, okay? You know what? The whole thing with Oregon and Georgia, week 1, the neutral site game in Atlanta, Georgia. Let's not overreact. This is Stetson Bennett we're talking about, folks. This is not a team that I'm worried about when it comes to Georgia. So they will beat Samford, but just the overreactions. I mean, that game was so weird. The collusion with Kirby Smart and Oregon, it's disgusting. I've got it at 54-9. The next game, we've got Akron traveling to MSU, East Lansing taking on Michigan State. Michigan State, 35.5-point favorites. Akron is horrific. Akron almost lost week 1 to like some horrible St. Francis, PA, I believe. And I've got this as kind of a weird score, 39-3. The under hitting in this one, Michigan State getting the win. The next, this is a very good one. It's going to be Houston traveling to Texas Tech. Houston, they did disappoint me a little bit. Last week, I thought they were a lock to cover the spread, a 4-point spread. They won, but they didn't cover the spread. Texas Tech is actually favored in this game at home, and I do have Houston winning it pretty easily. I love Houston this year, 45-31 over a decent Texas Tech team, but they're beatable, folks. Let's be real. They are beatable. Next, we've got Penn State traveling to Oklahoma as Penn State continues their non-conference gauntlet. They faced Washington week 1, and then week 4, they faced Georgia. So Penn State, really fun schedule there. Oklahoma, 32.5-point favorites. I love the over in this game. I've got it at 55-24. Oklahoma winning in a higher scoring game. Oklahoma beat UTEP in week 1, 45-13. Next, we've got the 7 o'clock window. It's going to be Kentucky traveling to Florida. So Florida, right out of the gate, back-to-back really good home games, competitive games here. Florida, 4.5-point favorites, given a 55% chance to win via the FPI. And I do have Florida winning this game. I'm sure they're going to be ranked. Kentucky, we'll see if they get their running back, Chris Rodriguez, back. I don't think they will. And I have Florida winning a close, lower scoring game. This line was like 7 points, I think. It's down to 4.5. We will see what happens, but I do like Florida at home again. Back-to-back, very good schedule for Florida. They're tough games, but they're winnable and they're at home. So you can build a lot of momentum off of these games if you are the Gators, and I've got them winning that one. Central Arkansas traveling to Ole Miss. So I do love Ole Miss, and the spread is not out for this game because it's an FCS team, but whatever the spread comes out, I would take Ole Miss, minus 30, minus whatever. Jackson Dart was horrible in week 1. Lane Kiffin is going to want to get him on track. They're going to win this game. They're going to blow out Central Arkansas 56-17 in my opinion. Next, the 7:30 games, Arizona State traveling to Oklahoma State in a pretty good matchup. Oklahoma State, 11.5-point favorites, but I do have this game as an upset. I am just simply not buying Oklahoma State this year personally. Arizona State, they showed me enough in their week 1 win to go ahead and declare this game an upset. 31-29, 11.5 point underdogs. They get the win. We saw Oklahoma State. They gave up a bunch of points to Central Michigan, 44 points. That's inexcusable. I don't care if it was garbage time. Come on. That's ridiculous. I've got it 31-29. This is the big ABC game. It's going to be USC at Stanford, which is a 4:30 Pacific time start. So we'll be dealing with some shadows there. USC 9-point favorites. I think this is just the perfect game for USC to officially announce they're back. Like, I don't know how they're only 9-point favorites. Stanford struggled week 1. I know they ended up winning easily, but Stanford just does not have the talent. This is a perfect game for USC just to completely out-athlete Stanford, in my opinion, and win this game very, very easily. And then people will overreact to USC. That's just my opinion on how this game's going to go. I don't know how they're only 9-point favorites. I would have thought this spread would be easily USC minus 2 touchdowns. But I do have this being a blowout. USC just has way more talent. It's going to be really nice weather. Lincoln Riley's going to want to put on a show and officially announce USC is back. The ratings for this game are not going to be good, though. I can tell you that right now. They will not be good. We've got a primetime 8 o'clock matchup on Big Ten Network, the University of Hawaii. They might be the worst FBS team. They're traveling to Michigan. Michigan listed as 51-point favorites. And I actually have Hawaii getting a safety on the opening kickoff and then losing 63-2 as a final score in that one. Michigan wins. They've got J.J. McCarthy. Michigan has completely set up for J.J. McCarthy to win this quarterback battle. Hawaii is so bad. McCarthy's going to throw 4 touchdowns in the first quarter. The hype is going to be crazy, and he deserves to win the QB battle because he gives Michigan a dynamic that Cade McNamara doesn't even come close to giving them. He will be Michigan's starting quarterback week 3, guaranteed, in my opinion. Next, we've got an 8:30 game. It's going to be Eastern Washington. Cooper Kupp School. They will be traveling to Eugene to take on Oregon after that tough week 1 loss to Georgia. And I do have Oregon rebounding in this game, winning 55-14. Kind of a weird 5:30 Pacific start, probably on the Pac-12 network if I had to guess for this game. And then the final matchup, the ranked matchup, really good one. It is Baylor, who crushed Albany in week 1. They will be taking on BYU, who had one of the more impressive week 1 performances, destroying South Florida on the road. This is a 10-15 game. BYU listed as a field goal favorite. FPI actually has Baylor at a 58% chance, so there's some difference there, and I love BYU in this game. I think Baylor is slightly overrated. BYU is at least comparable in terms of overall talent. They've got the veteran leadership, very veteran-laden team. BYU wins this game 38-28. They win it by 10. They control this game at home. Going to be very tough. Baylor going on the road, but those are my official college football week 2 predictions. Guys, that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description.